It's not a matter of what's the best roof. This gets lost. It's who can give the best cost so we can just do the job. I want it to make sense for me because I know that there's a liability, right? When I put my warranty out, I'm going to stand behind it. I'm going to maintain it. When we go into one of these situations like a building like this, we're not just looking at the roof. We're looking at the waterproofing of the building, and we're going to make suggestions based on us coming in and doing this huge remodel or restoration to make sure that when we finish this roof, that everything's waterproof for the next 20 years and addressed. Why in the world would you cut corners? And it's in anything, right? You patch a tire instead of replace it, you know it's a bad hole. Maybe it breaks down on you down the road. Maybe it's not that one day, maybe it's a month from now, maybe 2 months. But the point is you put a Band-Aid on it and it doesn't always fix the problem.
Today we are in Dallas, Texas here. We're about to go hang out with Drake Gordon, the owner of Executive Exteriors. Really unique story, and they're more of a specialty contractor. They're not taking on a whole lot of the claims that we normally do or the projects that most roofing contractors do. He's got something kind of special here, so I'm really excited to introduce you guys to Drake and give you guys a little tour of what's going on here at Executive Exteriors. Let's go check it out. So let's talk a little bit about the history of Executive Exteriors, man. Like, where did you guys come from? You guys are killing it out here in Dallas.
Thanks. Was born and raised in Augusta, Georgia, personally.
Nice.
Moved up in my teenage years to the Charlotte, North Carolina.
Okay.
Suburbs of North Carolina, and actually got introduced to the industry by a best friend of mine, randomly enough. Someone you typically wouldn't give a company vehicle to, and a gas card got it, and showed up to my doorstep in the middle of the night and said, "Hey Drake, you got to know about this, right? We're doing roofing sales, killing it. Talked to 4 of my mom's friends, made these deals. I'm gonna make $5,000 a deal on it, right?" And you're 17 years old, someone says $5,000 a deal, you're like, "What?" You know? So it's like, take me there. You know, I want to join in, and so worked with him, and the company was actually Abelard.
Okay.
Which at the time, the East Coast was being ran by Brian Sutherland. And so they were teaching me and my friend Anthony on door knocking and the basics, and got into it. And thought, man, this is a unique industry. Where else can you knock doors and make, tens of thousands of dollars in commissions, right?
Yeah, that's the truth.
So worked there for a little bit of time, and then got another opportunity in Kentucky that was a little more safe and secure and a more fresher storm. And so I decided to take that opportunity and work that storm, and ended up living there for 5 years. It's where I had my twins, met my fiance, and learned a good bit of the market. But what brought me to Texas is my mom had a water claim, and she was having some contractors locally work on it, and they weren't doing the right steps to properly mitigate it. And so she kind of pulled the mama card, and I'm a mama's boy, and said, "Hey, I want you to come down and check these guys, see what they're doing." Got down, it was just a mess. There was mold growing, it wasn't being dried out properly. So I took control of the project, and then in the interim of taking control of the project, kind of walked around the neighborhood and looked around Dallas. And coming from a different market than Texas, we're always told, don't even think about it. Right? It's the most volatile market in America.
4,000 contractors here.
I think 7,000.
Now it's 7,000?
It's like 7,000 just in Dallas. Right? And so definitely the roofing capital of America. You want competition, best place to pick it, right? And so always kind of detoured me away from ever looking into the market. But as I was walking around in Dallas, I was seeing these, $50,000 roofs on $200,000 homes, where in Louisville these would be 3 times.
Right.
To me, I was in my head, a whole different world, right?
Yeah.
And so I was sitting and kind of as in the interim of fixing my mom's house, thinking, this is crazy.
Yeah.
I should be working. All these different roof systems, the diversity, and just the sheer volume of homes.
Mecca,
right? Yeah. And so literally within a week was March 24th. And I think there was like March 16th, March 24th, and then there was another storm at the end of March. All hit DFW. 2016 was a huge year. That's the year that Wiley, Texas got hit. We had like grapefruit-sized hail that went through the decking, through the attic, hit the floor and cracked the hardwood floor. It was like amazing, right? And so I'd never seen anything like this, and I thought, jumping right into it. And so started working in Dallas under the company that I was working with in Kentucky. Had a really good year, and in 2017, just got a killer start. And within 6 months, I'd sold $3.2 million. I'd saved up a considerable amount of money, and it was built, sold, and collected, and got to the point of figuring out, okay, well, what do I want to do moving forward? Being a family man and having my kids at home, I wanted to make sure to set us up that we were taken care of, and that there's something I could leave behind to take care of us. And so after a deep thought, I decided to start Executive Exteriors so that I could focus in on the projects that I like doing.
Yeah, so you were already doing projects like this.
I was.
Just for another company.
Just for another company, and that...
getting your experience, essentially, right?
Exactly, and that...
And these projects are insane, bro.
Yeah, and the mentor and the previous owner did not want to scale up, right? Mm-hmm. And I wanted to build something that I could have for my family. And so we got stuck at a crossroads in 2017 of how do I move forward. And after thinking about it with my fiance, we decided it'd be best to start our own so that we could create our own legacy and we could go after it. Whereas my mentor, nothing wrong with it, just had made a lot of money over his lifetime, and he was on the back nine at 62 and was comfortable.
Well, essentially, you're saying no to all the stuff that wasn't like this,
mm-hmm.
so that you can focus all your attention on this.
Correct.
And I think there's a lot of power in focused attention.
I do too.
When you say, hey, this is what I am, this is who I identify as, this is what we want to do, mm-hmm. and you focus in on that, that's powerful. Like you're gonna find that at that point. Oh, yeah. What you seek, you'll find, and at that point, you're just gonna do these and become the guy for this.
I think when you pair focus and discipline together, it's one of the most beautiful things.
I agree.
You can get a lot accomplished.
Yeah, definitely.
Actually started the company just so I could sell these types of jobs myself, have full control over the jobs, had all the subcontractor partnerships already.
Right.
And I say partnerships because they're very important.
They're not just subs that work for you. So they're partnerships.
They're not just subs.
Right.
So what we did up front, and even when I came to Dallas, and I had the same model in Kentucky, was I want to go to the roofer that's got 300 or 400 employees. So that if I did have the day where I had 10 roofs, I didn't have to worry about calling 10 different roofers.
Right.
I didn't want an in-house production department where I had to kind of middleman every part of it versus just having that one source. And then what you find with those guys is a different sense of pride in their business because they've built this huge business. And so it was really easy for me to work with my roofer and my gutter guys and my stucco guys, get them bought into this idea or culture of doing things better, above and beyond. When people aren't looking, don't cut the corners. When people want to cut the corners, explain to them why they can't. That's the biggest one, right? It's not so much of cutting the corners, but a lot of times clients say, well, Drake, I can't just do this. I don't want to do this addition or this change order. When in reality, a lot of the times it's not an option. It's just things that have to be done. Mm-hmm. And so we take pride in always bringing that and not accepting the no and doing it right, no matter if they pay or not, but always doing it the right way. And so when you get your subs to buy into that culture, then they're your production and your quality control. Right. I don't have a QC guy. I don't need one. I know that my roofer has got my back and my project manager's got my back. And when that final inspection's done between both of them, I know that roof is good for its lifetime. Yeah. Whatever system it is that we put on.
Most contractors are like, well, how much will you charge me? And that's what they base their decision on when they're picking a sub. Right. They don't look at it from that perspective of this is a partnership that we're going to build a business together. It's going to benefit you just as much as it benefits me at this point.
Yeah.
And that's a really good way to view it. And if you're doing jobs like this where they're this extensive and like complex, I mean, these are not easy projects.
No, and they're not day roofs, right?
No.
So you may need scaffolding, you may need sky tracks, dumpsters, mm-hmm. porta potties for almost every single job. But then you get into, okay.
So you're getting O&P then.
Safe to say. That's safe to say. We get paid pretty well, right?
Yeah, there's not any arguments on these.
Well, there's always an argument, but once you explain, and most insurance companies, if you can explain your methodology and you can justify it, will in the long run do the right thing. But it's not always explaining, like even on a project like this, okay, this turret, in order to conform to that angle, every single piece has to be hand cut, all right?
Right.
Well, this takes my roofer 3 or 4 days to do this, right?
Yeah.
And not just him, but 3 helpers.
That's insane, though.
Yeah, and there were 3 of them on this helm. You have one in the front, one in the back. And so when I try and explain to an insurance company, hey, my roofer's going to be there all week, whereas if he were in the field, he probably could lay, 3 square a day himself.
Right.
But here we've got a 4 square turret that takes a whole week.
Yeah.
So now we need to compensate for that difference because of how skilled and how much more complex it was to do this turret. And that's not always easy to convey to the adjuster who doesn't understand, because you have to break it down in layman's terms to them and send them a picture.
Tile turret, like that's
it's
so
literally
complex.
hand cut.
Yeah,
every single piece, right?
Yeah.
And so I sometimes have to send them a video of my guy up there cutting each end, showing them, hey, this is what it takes, and we're only able to get one band today.
Right.
Right,
Yeah,
because it's a big mouth calculation, right?
Absolutely. And you got to do every piece individually, and it's not easy. Like there's very few roofers can do that.
Yeah.
That's very.
There's one right behind you, right there. You know,
I say
same thing. You know,
there's a handful of guys in the country that can probably do that.
Yeah.
At the end of the day. So all right, so you guys you started Executive Exteriors. Here we are, a few years later, right?
Right.
4 years.
This is going on our fourth year.
You're going on your fourth year. And you've got this facility now. You guys have grown. Obviously, you didn't end up being a one-man show.
No, I did not.
Why'd you decide to scale? Or to start to scale?
So I'll tell you, it was against everything I wanted to do. All right, up front, because I had a lot of good friends. And one of the things I'd like to say that was really interesting, that I don't think was the way it is now back in the day, is when I got into ownership in Dallas, the roofing community, to put their hands out and help was like massive.
Oh, yeah.
Like I had a lot of people I could talk to and say, hey man, I'm thinking about setting up my company. What's the best way? Should I get a bunch of sales reps, production team? And I got to talk with a lot of different owners who were, I was very fortunate enough they were being transparent with me and sharing, this is how my business operates. These are the pros and cons.
There's some great people in Dallas.
Great people, and even said if I had to do it again, this is how I would set up. And so one of the common denominators out of all the people that I talked to was that, hey, Drake, you're a salesman. Like, you're one of the best. You should just be a one-man show because you have the crews, you have the infrastructure. You can do these jobs on your own and still make the same money that we're all making with teams of 10 or 15 guys.
Yep.
And not have as much headache, right, and overhead.
Yeah, because you're doing jobs like this. I mean, these are major projects.
We're getting called out to these jobs, right? Once you start to do this type of work, you start to get called, right?
Right.
So there was no need for the scale, but then my best friend actually called me after speaking with my old boss, my mentor, and my mentor shared with him my commissions from the 2017 when I started specialty. And when he shared it, my best friend Jeff literally called me that night and said, I don't care what you say. I'm moving to Dallas. I'm packing my truck up right now. I'm going to come help you start this, right?
Right.
So then there was one, then there was two, right? So my best friend comes, you can't deny him. He came down, he helped me. We started an office. Then my supply rep came to me and he said, you got to take this guy, right? This guy, he needs a place. You're the perfect place. And so organically we started to scale per se, without even wanting it. And after doing the first year in 2018 with Jeff and Steve, and then hiring my office manager, Trino, I got a feeling in my gut like, hey, there's something bigger than the money here at stake. There's going to be opportunity put in your hands to grow this into something you couldn't even imagine.
So you feel like a responsibility?
I feel a responsibility at this point that I'm supposed to see this company through to 100 million. And that it's supposed to be a national brand.
And it's a responsibility to your people that are working here to make sure that they are successful as well, huh?
It is. Just
I feel like it's also a responsibility to people that own homes like this. I think need you.
I think that not only do they need me, they deserve a better option. So we pride ourselves in positioning ourselves as the expert option or the Rolls Royce in the market, because there's not a lot of companies that cater to these types of homes, but they're also knowledgeable, right? Yep. And so I felt really called after seeing it change my office manager life. Okay, my office manager used to work at the company I get my wraps from, and he was being paid pennies, and I won't say numbers, being paid pennies, real frustration, just a great guy. Was my favorite person in my entire company. I hate to pick, right? But Trino was having a lot of trouble, and I could tell frustration one day as he was designing my new wrap for my company. And he shared with me what he was being compensated to run this wrap company. And I said, you gotta come. You gotta come. And so within 2 years of coming to my company and seeing a 19, he got a bonus for a big project that we got, and it changed his life. And not just in a little way. He bought a home. He did a lot of things that he thought he never could do. And then I realized at that point, it wasn't all about me. And it hit me when he called me, crying, thanking me, that it had changed his life, that I'd made an impact on someone else that I never could even think about. I didn't even realize it. I really didn't know that I'd made that big of a change. And then for him to tell me that, and then to see it not just in him, but all of our sales reps that were coming that were maybe making 50, 75, 100 grand are now making 300 and 400 grand and spending more time with their families and going on vacations, getting new vehicles, new homes. It was making a bigger impact than just my family. And that in 2019 is when I realized it's not about me, it's about this family that I've created in my work life. And I'm taking care of now hundreds of families through our subs and feeding them. And now it's not only sales reps or a direct employee staff, but like our Mason came up to me last year and said, "You changed my business. The amount of volume of work you've given me has changed my life." And then I realized it's not just about me, and it's about doing something bigger and better than me. And I realized that I got an opportunity to do that, and I felt called. And so that's what's driven us to really say, okay, well, you know what? We are going to go to every state. We're going to get licensed in every single state. We're going to make sure that we give everybody an alternative option so that if they do have a big home like this, that they know someone that's got tested, tried, and proven results. And they don't have to wonder or have anxiety, because can you imagine if you did have a $300,000 roof? Think about it. You got a huge liability on your hands. You make the wrong decision, someone improperly installs that roof, who's going to pay for it?
Yeah.
Not the insurance company again. And so it's a very stressful situation. If you can imagine, these homes hit by tornado or hail, their beautiful homes are destroyed, and it took a really custom builder to put every single piece together. And there's not a lot of custom roofers or restoration contractors to come in that know how to fix it. And 8 times out of 10, the builder isn't even interested in coming back out to the home.
Right.
And so here these homeowners are left with not a lot of options.
It's so cool, man. Like, the way I see this, and I said this earlier, but you guys and your mission to say no to so much work that's small jobs that are volume based, everyone's thinking shingles, everything else, and say yes to just this is completely it's so cool. It's allowed you to become this and to be the guy that does these jobs and be known in this area as one of the leaders in, you're what, top 3 Slate DaVinci installers?
Top 3 in the country.
Yeah. It's crazy, man. It's awesome. And you're only 26.
26, yeah.
It blows my mind, bro. Like, you're killing it, man. It's so cool. So let's go look at some of this material. Is that cool?
Yeah.
And meet some of your staff.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All right, so we're here. Yeah. Our buddy Hunter Ballou showed up.
Snuck back
in here. So let's talk a little bit about this facility, dude. This place is massive.
Yeah, man. Got super lucky. Scored a great facility here.
You're in Dallas, right?
Shout out to my broker Alex, who did an incredible job on this.
I love this table, man.
Yeah.
Like, this is like, I told you, like, this is like the Illuminati table to me. I want to sit around here and do like rule the world somehow. Like, I feel like that's the feel of this bad boy.
So that was the thought behind, like, when we were looking at different furniture.
It's like the UN table or something. Like,
it is, man.
We're gonna have some serious conversation here.
I thought, I want to set the stage. I wanted to have a stage, and I just thought back to church, right? When I think about training, right? If you think about it, who's the one person that everybody listens to, right? If you go to church, you're going to listen to a pastor. It's going to get real quiet. It's going to be a really a direct moment, right? You're going to hear exactly what they're saying. So I wanted to have that intimate moment with my guys where I could get them, because there's a lot of energy, a lot of blood flowing, and you get all the guys going, they haven't seen each other, they're catching up, and it's really easy to get off topic.
Right.
And so I wanted to be able where I could focus them all in on me as we got to the point of that week and the mission and what we were doing.
How often are you guys doing meetings? Once a week?
Once a week, every Tuesday.
This is cool. So you guys get in here, you have your meetings, you guys get all hyped up.
Yeah, man.
Get ready to go out and slay the beast, huh?
Not only that, man, if you see that door right there, so we do a lot of door-to-door training and kind of
I was wondering what that was
tactical. So what we like to do is, man, I like to embarrass my guys. I like to get them up there, and I like to throw them on the spot and put them in a situation and say, I'm Debbie. I've got, an architectural roof. It just blew off halfway in a tornado. What are you going to say to me, right?
Right.
And then you would just be surprised by the focus that hones in on that, right? And it's a great exercise, and it really, if you think about it, just iron sharpens iron.
Yeah. Dude, this stage is so cool, man. Like,
Thank
so
you.
you sit out here, you talk to your people, you give them instructions.
Oh yeah.
How much, where do you guys stand right now in the marketplace?
Last year we were able to complete $18.1 million in projects.
$18 million in projects, all mostly specialty.
Mostly specialty.
Which is Slate,
Tile,
DaVinci, yeah.
DaVinci, synthetic, stone-coated steel, even flat roofs. I mean, you name it, pretty much every type of different system.
And that's so cool to think that, you're 26, you've grown this business in 4 years to $18 million. But that's the power, I believe, in focusing on that niche market.
Do what you're good at.
Yeah.
And don't lose sight. And I'm myself strayed away several times, but with discipline and one-track mind and focus, you'd be just amazed at what can be done.
Well, yeah, and you have those things and you're passionate. And it's easy to remain passionate when it's something like this where you're artistic and get to really showcase these roofs. I mean, they're works of art, dude. I love it.
Yeah, absolutely. And when your client knows you care, it's like it just balloons.
So this room's awesome, dude. But this is a training room too, then, right?
So this is a training room for right now.
Okay.
So eventually, what we're going to do is we're going to build out a state-of-the-art showroom here, where we can show all of our different clients the different products that are available to them, the different finishes, and not just for roofing, but for as we're a GC for everything, right?
Yeah.
So we're going to build.
You should check out the episode we did with Contractor Exteriors in Indianapolis. Ross and his team, they literally built out they do a lot of hardy board.
Okay, yeah.
So they've got the little houses in their showroom, and it's right on the interstate, so you see it when you're driving down the road. It's a really cool setup. Be good inspiration for this.
I'd love to see it. I've looked at a few.
Come to Indy, and I'll give you a tour.
I would love to, because we kind of designed and looked at different ones, but we played around, and what we really come up with is I want to build Caesar's Palace inside of here, right?
Yeah.
So we're taking our time. I've got about $500,000 budgeted for it, and I really want to do something that's just no one else can do, right? That separates us. That's always where we've been. We've always believed in being niche and being different than everyone else. So how can we make something that's so unique, that's to the core of us, to show our clients, hey, this is kind of like our art, right? So when we talk about roofing and the projects that we do, to us it's art. I'm an artist when I go put a turret on like that, and I have a 4 different color blend. I don't see that as roofing.
No, so you're right. It is art. I mean, those roofs are part of the aesthetics. It's architecturally, so advanced compared to just a simple hip roof or a complex hip roof.
Exactly. And so I see this as
like you said, man, you're just creating distance between you and the competition at that point, because you're doing things different that other guys do not do. They just don't think it's important.
And so we had a showroom in our previous office. And so that's what started, but this one will be the ultimate. And this, to me, with all my guys, and why we're taking our time to design it, is our way to convey our creativity. So I really want the artist to come out. So some of the 8-color blends that the homeowner's like, oh, that's too busy, they're coming in here.
Right.
Some of the crazy dragon scale copper turrets that not everyone's crazy about, they're coming in here.
Right.
The things that we want to really convey and hey, this is our art. Maybe you don't like it, but it's cool to see it.
Well, I want to see some Slate, dude. Show me some examples of what you guys do and some of the materials. Let's talk about that for a little bit.
Let's go to the warehouse. Let's go to the warehouse.
Let's do it.
Okay. Yeah. So this is basically our supply room. So our sales guys are always on the go. If they're in the office, there's a problem usually, unless it's a meeting. And so this is where they can come in and out. We have all of our brochures for the different manufacturers we work with. We've got sample boards here. That's cool. And we try and set it up so that when they're on the go and they've got a client that wants to see a few different colors or different profiles.
Hey, I know these people. Atlas?
Atlas, yeah.
I know these guys.
Yeah, tell them to quit making the shingle so damn hard. It doesn't get damaged. We like to replace roofs in Dallas. No,
that core 4, man.
I'll tell you, I'll stand behind this. So I have a storm master on my own house, all right? And I've had a particular neighborhood in Dallas that got hit for the second time in 2 years, right? And I did several roofs in this neighborhood. Some of my specialty roofs got damaged with the last hailstorm that hit, right? And so I'm going in like, man, this is going to be a laydown. I'm getting, 13, 14 projects out of this neighborhood. The neighbor's got Atlas Stormmaster Slate. I know this time it's got to be damaged, right? I get up there, I could find like 4 hail hits. I was like, shit. I was like, man, I don't think your roof wants to be replaced, And so yeah, it made me a believer. Short story, and
good stuff,
it's
Stormmaster's no joke.
Yeah, and you know what? It's very reasonably priced considered other designers.
Yep,
So
for a class 4.
But my home, it's got the Blackstone.
Now you guys don't do a whole lot of like regular like 3-tab or laminate roofs. Like it's got to be Stormmaster or like
So it doesn't
some
have
of the high-end designer shingles.
It doesn't have to be, but what I'll tell you is so all
But that's
of my
probably most of your business. Though,
is
right?
the majority of all my business. So what I'll tell my reps is if you get a referral or someone calls you, we will never turn down that business. If someone calls me and says I've got a 3-tab, I'm not going to discriminate and say I won't do it.
Right.
But if you go pursue that job, you will be fired in my company. No, it's a bylaw. You'll be fired because what's the purpose? We have our core, we have our mission, we have the people. We know exactly who our clients are. So you stray away from that, you're not following the model.
Yep.
And so we do those jobs, but I would say we probably did like 20 laminates last year, like total just architectural. I don't even know if we did a 3-tab. If we did, they were probably scared to tell me about it because I get sick about it,
That's cool, man.
But yeah, so we have all the different products. So we have our designer shingles at the bottom here. We've got our Stormmasters. We have our Highland Slates with Certainteed. We've got IKO's Royal Estate, Presidentials. Just about every designer that you could find, you're going to find in here. So you've got JF, Certainteed, Atlas, IKO, even Malarkey's in there. Yeah. And then you get up here, you'll get into some of your different clay and concrete tiles. And here you'll get into some of the synthetics.
Cool.
And then this whole area right here is dedicated to synthetics and stone-coated steel. So you'll find a lot of our DaVinci, which is something we install a lot of. It's one of our favorite products. So you'll find all of their different profiles, all of their different colors. They ship them direct to us so we can show them. And here you'll even find...
DaVincis are cool, man.
Man, they are.
Really cool stuff.
You'll find kind of your other products. So this is where they can get any samples so that they can show the clients colors and examples and kind of give them a good feel of what their new roof's going to look like.
All right, so this is these are DaVinci, right?
Yeah, so these are DaVinci, and again, one of our favorite products. So probably 50% of our business is synthetics. And one of these,
this is an actual.
this is real slate. So we got some Vermont gray slate right here.
It looks so it's so crazy that this is plastic or whatever.
Yeah.
And this is an actual stone slate.
Virgin polymer, very much like what you have on the bumper of your vehicle. You have real slate, and one of the benefits, especially in Texas, is we're constantly getting hailstorms, right?
Right.
If you don't prepare for it, it just happens. There's nothing you can do about it. And so these slate roofs, especially if they're thinner,
Like this is pretty thin.
This is really thin, right?
Right.
So let's say 1.5, 2-inch hail hits this in the right spot, it's going to crack all over the place.
Right.
I have literally come behind this product after 3 inches of hail. Again, in a situation where I thought I'm going to come collect a free job. Just did it. It was like $350,000 project. Huge mansard. And Allen in 2018 got hit 3-inch hail that I'm coming to collect it. I looked all up and down this freaking roof for like an hour and a half. So mad. I thought this for sure is going to get replaced, and then I realized this is a real good product, right? This can take an impact and not get damaged and not have to be maintained, because if you have a slate roof, you're going to have to maintain it.
Right.
It's much like owning an exotic sports car. You got to get the oil changed. You got to take it to the shop. It has to be dealt with, and if you don't, and a few of the components start to prematurely fail, the entire system fails.
Seems like this would be easier to install too than other. I mean, you got hangers and everything else for those, don't you?
Well, not only that, you got to think about your staging, right? So that right there, the weight on that pallet alone, like I think me and Hunter could try, but it'd probably take like 10 of us to lift that pallet.
You guys want to try?
We could try. You want to break it back?
Just do one side.
But the weight to stages is a lot. So there's a lot more general conditions when you're doing a roof like this versus a roof like this.
These are heavy.
Yeah. Oh yeah, man. You should see one of the slates we're about to install is an inch thick.
I mean, it's beautiful stuff.
$750,000 roof.
A real
20 squares.
So wait, the Slate is an inch thick?
The Slate is an inch thick. I'll show you a picture of the old roof.
Wow.
Yeah. Got affected by the tornado, and the quarry is, as we speak, they're quarrying it specially for it.
So this is probably the product you guys sell the most of.
It is, yeah.
DaVinci? Yeah.
DaVinci.
Well, because I mean, if I was a homeowner, even, I guess sometimes you probably still are replacing actual Slate with Slate again. There's some people that are purists and they just want Slate, right?
I would say 60 to 70% of the time we go back with Slate. However, another 30 to 40% new homeowners, maybe you're looking more about functionality than architectural value.
Right.
Because I mean, this really does look like Slate, but you still have to disclose it's not. If you ask me, you're not going to tell the difference, but you come down to certain areas in Dallas where the homes are $5 to $10 million price points, it does matter. So those are the ones that are going back with Slate. But every now and then you'll find a Slate on a $600,000-$700,000 home, tired of repairing it, maintaining it. They're paying $5-6 grand every year to get a couple of pieces fixed, and they say, hey, give me another option.
I will say, my neighbor across the street, one of the most frustrating things that's happened over the last 2 years since we lived in this house is they had a wood shake roof, and they went back with a shingle.
Oh.
And I don't know why in the world they did that, and my wife and I both, like, we pull out of our driveway and we have to look at that every time, and that roof was beautiful, and now it's just like,
So I want to tell you something,
a
John.
terrible roof.
That's exactly what we were talking about beforehand.
yeah.
Did your neighbor know? Were they educated? Did they really know they had all the options?
I know who did that roof,
Okay.
and it was not someone that I would have ever let touch my roof.
And do you think that person communicated to them the different options? So like
Definitely
when we
not.
have a cedar
No.
shake, we know that we can go with a DaVinci shake, or
They're a
there's
big
cedar,
volume.
or
They're
stone coated.
top 20 contractor in the United States, huge volume player.
Okay.
And so that's all.
In
they-
Indianapolis?
Yeah, they're out of Indy.
Okay.
You'll know who they were if I told you, but I'm not gonna.
I already know who they are. Yeah, I know. Yeah.
But at the same time, it was really frustrating. It made me. It actually kind of upset me, and I felt bad because I was like, this guy has no idea what he just did to his house.
Yeah.
This one's super thin.
So I'll give you another one. I was going across the street in a neighborhood that we're working in, and someone's doing a repair right now to a slate roof. It's $1 million slate roof.
Right.
And they're repairing all of the valleys. It's the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my life. And they would have been better off not doing the repairs at all.
Right.
Right? And they ruined the roof. Ruined $1 million roof. Lack of knowledge, right?
Right.
And so it really happens, and it counts. The more expensive, and if you think about it, it makes sense. If you go buy a Lamborghini, are you going to let a GMC dealer do repairs to it?
Yep.
And that's what happens all the freaking time with these homes across America. And that's the exact reason why I feel it's so important for us to be in these other markets, so that there's someone that says, hey, don't put shingles on your wood shake. You're downgrading, you're devaluing your property, and you're owed to have something put back that's like kind and quality.
I agree.
You know?
This is cool, man. This
Yeah.
is cool stuff.
Yeah.
And so, what else do you guys have out here?
Yeah.
I see we got the DaVinci, we've got the Slate. Any other specialty materials you
I'll
guys
tell
like
you
to
what,
do?
we'll have to go to the very back because it's hidden. But I'll show you some cool stuff. One of the things we do is when we take historic roofs off, we like to keep at least a little part of it so that we can display it. One of the big things is we're going to get a library and kind of display the different historic roofs we've got.
That's cool.
And so these are some of the leftovers from a historic Ludowici roof that
no
we'd
kidding.
replaced.
these
A
are
lightweight
cool.
interlocking tile. So this tile, believe it or not, okay, is from 1942. So what you're holding in your hands is almost 80 years old. Now let me ask you, gentlemen, what do you
don't
feel the
drop it.
condition is?
It's still in great shape.
It's almost like it's brand new,
Yeah, I would
right?
say, like, if you put this up to a similar, other than the aging on the color, but there's no way you could tell the difference.
Yeah. And so we keep.
Do you do a lot of tile work?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
That's 40% of our work involves tile.
No kidding.
Yeah. So like this is one of the hip and ridge caps. I do a lot of unique features.
See, Hip and Ridge was so pretty back then. Like, they used to do such cool, like, artistic stuff with roofs
Yeah.
that you just don't see done as much
Well,
anymore.
if you go over to Europe or you go over to any other country other than America, you're going to see
Right.
a lot more architectural details when roofing comes involved, and a lot of this is more common. And so what we think is we want to save a lot of this so when clients come in with these types of roofs, they know that we're still keeping that history of what they had before.
Right.
And that finish you're seeing there, John, that you're saying looks like it's aging, comes out day one like that.
Really?
Now algae has to catch it, but this texture, what they do is they take coal and they throw it on here, and then they cook it in the kiln. It'll make different textures, and it'll what it'll do is when algae starts to grow on this, it'll make this blackened feature. So they have different chemicals that can actually dictate the way that this patinas per se.
These roofs though, these homes typically also don't have the typical other systems like your gutters, your flashings, there's typically other like copper and other things involved that are way more complex.
Absolutely. So with any tile re-roof, we're not just looking at the roof, we're looking at the waterproofing of the home.
Right.
What is going into our sidewalls? Are we dealing with brick, stucco, siding? Why it matters. When you have one of these systems, you take it all the way down to the deck and you rip all of the flashings out.
Right.
You don't leave anything to chance. You have to start fresh, and everything has to be copper.
Right. I mean,
because this is a 100-year roof.
Yeah, exactly. They're 100-year roofs. They're not 20,
This is the
30
last
roofs.
roof you should have to put on your home unless you get involved in a disaster or catastrophe.
Right.
I mean, these should outlive you. And several of these roofs, I mean, I've come across some of these roofs 200 plus years old.
Yeah.
And you flip around the back, same shape. Structural integrity is just fantastic,
It's
right?
insane, isn't it?
It's insane the product that they make.
Yeah.
But then you get to the cost and you realize why, right?
I will say though, like most of the time, people that are 26 aren't thinking about specialty roofs and how cool old roofs are.
Yeah.
I mean, that's unique, dude. I will say, like, most of the time it's the guys that have been in this forever and adapted into that world. But you're right in it, though.
I'll tell you, I'm really fortunate. I fell into it in 2017 and it really piqued my interest. And at that point, I finally found something to be passionate about. And you can kind of tell I'm talking like I'm a nerd about this history.
Yeah.
I love talking with them, and I want to know from the previous owner, where did this home come from? What's the story behind it? Like, I want to carry this on, and I want to make sure, and I take it personal, that I restore it properly to make sure that anybody that has been involved in that home would be happy with what we did. That we really restored the original architectural to the building, you know. A lot of these are historic buildings and landmarks, you know. And I just love doing unique things, man. I love complex jobs. I love the challenge, figuring out, and so do my crews.
Yeah.
And that's where we just work hand in hand, and it's been incredible, man. I never could imagine that we would have been where we're at right now, because I was just a one-man band. I just wanted to do these projects myself, and then naturally it just kind
And
of
you love the
blew up.
history, you love all the architecture, you appreciate that.
I'm a
That's
nerd,
so
man.
rare to find, dude. I'm kind of the same way. Like, I love that kind of stuff, and it's very, like, there's so much history there. There's so much craftsmanship, that pride in that work, that today, I mean,
It's a lost art.
especially in roofing, like, it's basically just, it's a commodity.
Yeah.
And this, to you, is not a commodity.
No.
Far from it.
No, this is an art.
Yeah.
This is a trade. This is a skill. And it's slowly dying. And it's something that I want to keep alive. And I'm passionate about it. And
That's so cool, dude.
why we do it.
Well, dude, I really appreciate the tour. Let's talk. What's the future looking like for you guys? Like, what are your plans?
So right now we're actively working with our VP of construction, and we're licensing in 49 states.
That's awesome.
And
So right now you guys are just working Dallas, essentially.
So we're just working Texas.
Or Texas,
That's all.
okay, yeah.
And so now we're moving into multiple markets, and we're not necessarily setting up locations in all these markets, but we're just setting up licensing so if someone requests us, because we've had
Yeah.
a lot of requests to travel, now we can cater to those clients.
Yeah, I mean, because that's the thing. Like, you go into Florida where there's tons of tile. You go into out east where there's a lot of slate.
Yeah.
And there's no one out there that, I mean, there's people out there that do it, but maybe not with the same passion or quality that you have. And I agree, like, this is definitely marketable and can work everywhere.
Not only that, okay, in most of these markets, what you find are repair guys.
Right.
And the problem is there's a lack of knowledge on the restoration side. So a lot of times they're repairing what they shouldn't. And so that's a lot of the misconnection that I'm finding in the industry, and why we're really wanting to expand to these other markets.
Yeah.
To make sure when that catastrophe happens, when that particular roof is affected, that when it shouldn't be repaired, that it's at least getting mentioned to the client, right? And
Right.
that they're aware of it, so they are educated to make a good decision.
Dude, I agree, man. And I think what you guys are doing is so important to those clients. It's awesome to see you building this team that's passionate about what you guys are doing, and you're giving them such an amazing opportunity. That's in our industry is you know, this is rare. Like the normal opportunities are a little bit different, you know. And so what you got is so unique, and I really appreciate it, and I thank you so much for letting us peek into it and give us a little bit of overview of what you're doing, because it's fascinating, dude. Like it's cool to see someone with so much passion in what they do. So
man, I appreciate you coming out. I had a heck of a time and coming and filming it.
Oh man, anytime I get to go to Dallas, I'm usually okay with that. So.
I'm a fan, so I'm kind of geeking out on it. I'm so glad
I'm geeking out too that we got to see this. I'm a fan of what you do, and
I'm a fan of what you do. You know, so.
Well, thank you so much, and anytime, Drake, you need anything, let me know, brother.
Hey, thanks, brother.
Appreciate it.
Great.
Yes, sir. Thanks so much for watching today's show. Make sure to like and subscribe our pages so that you can stay up to date with every episode. And by the way, this show is all about you, the American contractor. Be sure to comment and let us know what you want to hear about and what subjects you want us to touch on. We'll be sure to include them in a future episode. Thanks again, and I hope you have a great day.